All right, welcome to Self-Made Millionaire Tips. My name is Colin Plume, CEO of Noble Gold Investments, My Digital Money, a few other things that I've just recently got involved with. We'll talk about later. I have a great guest, Morgan Gist McDonald, writer extraordinaire, written a very exciting book called Start Writing Your Book Today, which has over 1,700 reviews on Amazon, which is amazing. You wrote it in 2015. It sold over 20,000 copies. And she also does, and you'll explain more exactly what you do, because I think it's, for some people, it's they don't know exactly how this works, but you help people write a book. You have different ways you can help them. Obviously, you've had success with your book, and that's through Paper Raven Books, which is your publishing company. And you've been featured on MSN, Yahoo Finance, NASDAQ, and you're using ChatGPT, which I'm excited to talk about. So thanks for coming on. Excited to hear about your journey.
Thanks, Colin. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So let's kind of dive right in with your book in 2015. Great title, Start Writing Your Book Today, which I have a friend actually who I recommended that he write a book. And every time I see it, it's been a few months and how far along, and I can tell it's hard. It's hard to know what to put on paper, to know what people are going to be interested in. So I guess out of the gate, why did you write this book, and what are the challenges with writing your first book?
Yeah, well, I wrote the book because I was a freelancer, solopreneur, freelancer, book editor, book coach. And really, I say that at that time, it was like 2010-ish, something like that. I was probably more of a grab bag editor. And I think a lot of us feel that way when we start out. It's like, I will do any freelance gig you give me. And so I wanted to do books, but I really, in reality, was doing a lot of emails, blogs, just whatever someone would pay me to do.
Sure.
And eventually I realized, hold on, I need to specialize. I need to niche down. I love the books. I had worked with books and authors for years. I actually really started even in grad school, so like 2007, 2008, and just needed a way to define my market, which I think a lot of us struggle with. Like, how do I pick a niche? How do I choose? How do I, let people know that this is my...
Did you ever want to be a professor, or did you ever want to go that route? Like, what was I'm just curious where, because I feel like it's, people are going through different careers where they want to go, and so what, did you have dreams of being in a, big university or something like that?
I thought I was going to be a professor of sociology. That was kind of the game plan. But then I got into a PhD program, a really great PhD program, but academia was just not a fit for me. They're not really very entrepreneurial, which is interesting. And I wasn't as drawn to the research and the ivory tower, and the research doesn't go anywhere, right? It goes into peer-reviewed journals and academic conferences, but it doesn't really make it out into the world. So I decided I was going to leave that after I got my master's, but I had started working with people, in the university, but then through networks and referrals, kind of getting a wider and wider client base. And I just loved the business side. I didn't realize I would love the business side until I got into it. And then I found marketing and sales, and I was like, oh, I did not know this even existed, and just kind of followed that intuition.
Yeah. So you started writing for some businesses where they needed emails, they needed an email, drip, or they needed a newsletter, and I've hired, tons of writers for years. And one of the writers we've had for many years is from, he actually lives in France,
Wow.
English guy from France. And we worked together from Upworks for many years. So it's sort of interesting how this world works nowadays. Like, he could be anywhere and write, and he can write. He's showed me the list of things he can write about anything, from financial stuff to beauty products to car, whatever it is. So you become kind of a jack of all trades and really learn how to write, is what he told me. So it sounds like that's kind of where you started. And then you were like, I want to go in books. That's where I want to be.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of us that are trying to define our niche, and there are those sayings out there, like the riches are in the niches. And I sort of eventually realized that my prices that I could charge were going to be directly related to how valuable my services were to my clients.
Mm.
And I got to pick what those services were. So my client's only going to pay so much for an email. An email is only so valuable to a client. However, a book is really valuable to my client. They care about the book. And so I just made the decision, I'm going to, specialize in books. And I had helped people with writing books. I had developed a methodology that worked well. I'd been testing out that methodology over the years. I was like, I'll write a short book, a guidebook really on how to write a book, the typical stumbling blocks, what the process looks like. Here's some timelines. Here are the different phases you're going to go through. And that is the book that helped me to define my market and say, these are my people. This is who I work with.
So I guess the $1,000,000 question is, how long did it take for you to start writing your book?
Like we all do. I thought about it for, a year or two before
You
I actually
did. Oh, the truth is out. It took a while to get it. It takes everybody a long time.
Yeah, the first book especially, I feel like you stew on it, you think about it. But one of the bonus resources in my book is you can actually see my spreadsheet where I tracked all of my writing sessions, and it took me 10 weeks to write the book, and I had just had my third baby. I felt
Wow.
like I was busy.
Wow. You just had your third child and you were writing the book at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's impressive. It really is. So what you were saying, it took 10 weeks once you started actually putting, or however you're writing it. It was like once you sat down and like, this is it. I'm getting it done.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like to talk about with writers, especially folks on their first book, is when you sit down to do the writing, it really needs to be time with fingers on the keyboards. You are putting words on the page.
Sure.
There's a phase of just organizing your ideas. There's a phase of research. There's a phase of sort of outlining. But when you sit down and you start doing that writing, you want everything lined up so you can almost like a checklist, like what am I writing next? And just don't think about it, just write as quickly as you can, face forward, try to get 5,000 words a week or more, and just know that you're going to edit on the back end. So push through that first draft.
So like timeline, like you set the not the timeline, but you set the outline early, and then before you start writing, so that when you go, okay, chapter 1's about X, you already know what it's about, and then you just go through chapter 1, and then you go through and you know what chapter 2 is going to be about, so you kind of outline. That's what my friend did. I don't know if he might have read your book. I'm not sure if he did, but I saw the outline and I was like, okay, this seems great. Get to work, right? I mean, that's
yeah, and a lot of people really struggle with the outline. And there's two ways you can approach doing outline. I think this is maybe some secret sauce material here, but a lot of folks will try to start from the top down. They'll try to start with what's my chapter title, what's the chapter about, and then I'm going to fill in the details. I actually like to invert that, do the opposite. Let's put all the details in a giant list, brain dump, everything that you want to write about in the book. Take a break from that huge list, come back to it with fresh eyes and say, okay, here's all the stuff I want to talk about in the book. Let's organize it. Let's arrange it in the right order. Now we can sit down and write.
That seems easier. I think that's a good tip. It seems a little bit easier than, because when you try to make everything too kind of chronological, probably slows you down. That's probably part of the part. Yeah, that makes sense. So in 2015, when the book hit, what was your, like, you obviously thought you'd be rich and famous probably within a few weeks. Right? That was what everybody like with any business, it just takes off. And no, what was your expectation, do you think? Like,
that's mythology, right? They're like, oh, it should become a bestseller if it's ever going to be successful.
so easy. This was so easy. Just put it out there. Oh, you haven't heard of me? Oh, it's on Amazon. Oh, I'm not ranking. What? My website. Yeah, there's so many factors in here.
Exactly. I mean, again, couple of schools of thought. There's one school of thought that says you should build a giant platform, have the 100,000 followers, and then you can launch the book. Sure, that's one way of going about it. I went the other way. I had fewer than 100 folks on my email list, and I went ahead and launched the book and then used the book to grow my platform. So now I had something to talk about. I would pull content out of the book for social media or, different types of content. And I would just drive everyone to that book. So that's the way that I did it. So 2015 was not my biggest sales year. In fact, every year since 2015, I've continued to sell more and more books. And because it has more social proof on it now, it's got, a bunch of sales, a bunch of #1 categories, a bunch of reviews. And so it gets easier and easier to
Yeah.
sell the book as time goes.
Are you seeing it kind of in the numbers? Is it actual books on Audible or like audiobook, or there's an audio version, I'm assuming. Is like what percentage today is actually book versus audio?
Yeah, so of the 20,000 copies, probably 5,000 are audio, 12,000 are ebook, and like 2,000 are physical copies. I mean,
Oh,
physical
really?
copies.
Oh, ebook. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't like
Yeah.
ebooks. I'm gonna say that right now. I mean, if I'm getting something like kind of small and like 2 pages or whatever, I love to have a book. I love on the nightstand, and I love it's there. And if I don't read it, I'm like, what am I doing in my life? And I'm feeling guilty. I need I do like audiobooks too, but I don't know about an ebook. It just feels like, it's kind of, I don't know. Everyone learns different, I guess. That's just me personally. But so that's amazing. So 20,000 copies. When did you start to see some where you would get interviewed, or like when did the press start to kick in for you?
Yeah. For most of the book's history, it's really been about clients. And so even in 2015, would get emails from folks saying, "Hey, I just read your book." Because I ask in the book, email me if you start writing your book, let me know what your book is about. I also have lead magnet in the book. If we want to get into the tactical stuff,
Yeah,
I
I do.
absolutely recommend having a lead magnet in the book. For instance, if you go to Amazon and you type in, start writing your book today, and you see my book, there's a lead magnet right at the beginning. You can look inside and you can get on my email list from the beginning. You actually get the audiobook for free. It's a secret hack. You can get my audiobook for free if you go to
Wait a
Amazon.
minute. You don't want to, don't, nothing for free. Why are you giving anything away? I guess it's a good idea, but it's.
Then I'm going to follow up with an email and send you to a webinar. And the thing that you can buy on the webinar is more than $5.99.
Yes, that's what I'm talking. So tell me, yeah, I want to get into the web, not to kind of go too far ahead, but like you brought it up. Talk to me about the webinar what's so that you get in the email list and then they transition into a webinar. How long is the webinar? What happens there?
Yeah, I've been running evergreen webinars since about 2020. So before that, from about 2018 to 2020, I ran live webinars every single Thursday, and sometimes 2 webinars every Thursday. So I did a lot of experimentation on, short form, 30, 45 minutes. Some of them are really long.
And
What I'm doing.
you would do them like actually live each time? Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think it's important to get the chops in, get the pacing down, understand what types of questions people ask.
Right.
I did probably 130-ish
Oh, wow.
live webinars
Yeah.
before evergreening it. Now, I'm not going to say that everyone must do that. I do think it helped my overall presentation, even my like meta skills, the ability to talk and keep a flow going, even to an empty room, which is like a good skill to have when you're doing webinars. But since 2020, we've been running them evergreen. So I'll record them live occasionally, just to test out some new things, and then we'll put that MP4 straight into the webinar funnel, and then people can join every day at noon Mountain Time. And that the one that's running right now is actually a new experiment. Most of the time they've been about 90 minutes, and the call to action drops just before the 60-minute mark. But this one, there's a lot to explain in the publishing process. So I went with sort of more information than I usually do. And right now I'm testing about a 2-hour webinar, and the
Really?
link drops about 70, 75 minutes in, and then there's a long Q&A portion.
Huh. All right. Well, I guess you don't have the data yet, but I'd be curious. I mean, just off the bat, it seems like to hold somebody's attention that long, it seems like a long time, but I mean, I guess you really like get a chance to really explain what you're offering in a long time period, which is nice.
Yeah, and it's I went with like mistakes content is really good for webinars because you're telling people the mistakes that they could make, if they're not working with you. And so I went with 5 mistakes is a big chunk of the sort of teaching content. Previously, I'd stuck with 3 mistakes, but publishing is fraught with mistakes. And so I thought,
mistakes.
5 with 5 mistakes. And so, we're still seeing pretty good retention. We typically see a stick rate of something like 70 to 80%. And we're still holding pretty close to that. But yeah, data's still coming in.
Wow, that's cool. So the book just gets them into the funnel, really. I mean, was that the game plan from day one, or did that evolve?
Yeah, the game plan from day one was to get clients and to have a positioning that made sense for charging a higher price for services. It's like, if you want to write a book and have a book professionally edited, then I'm your girl. And so clients was always the game plan. Now we're just trying to increase the flow every year, increasing the flow of the pipeline of people coming into the book, coming into webinars, coming into clients. So yeah, I've heard a lot about that with our authors. It's, yes, you'll make some money off the book sales. It's fun to sell tens of thousands of copies, and really it's all about the high end, back end products and services.
Yeah, that's true. Which is funny because at the beginning you were talking about how much you can charge for an email and how much you can charge for a book. And they were saying like certain people only pay so much for an email, but that email could actually generate a lot of money. Ironically, it could, a good email could generate probably more than a book potentially. But at the end of the day, the book, I think when somebody puts their name on something, there's more than just the business side, right? There's a, it's you want to make sure that you look right out there, and you don't want to get embarrassed, and so I think people they will, go at all costs on a book. Whereas probably there's others writing stuff too that's probably really important in their business too, so that's interesting. So yeah, and we've looked at books to have a ghostwriter, and I think people would be quite surprised how much these things can cost.
It can easily be 20,000 to 60,000 just for the manuscript. It's a Word document, but I mean, it can also take 6 months to 12 months to write a really fantastic book if you're asking someone to do all the research and
sure. Yeah, I've gotten quotes in that range, and I've gotten quotes 6 figures in that too. So, you're right. It could all across the map. Now, obviously, what different houses have said that they could do, and they could get you on a certain list. There's a lot of that stuff happening. So
practice Jack, we're going to ghostwrite your book, and we're going to get you on Wall Street Journal, and we're going to get all these bookstores. Oh, those, multiple 6 figures for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that you buy your way onto these lists.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was like, if you pay X, you'll be there. Like, and I was like, what do you mean? It was like, yeah, you guarantee yourself to get on this list. And I was like, wow, I mean, I wasn't that surprised. I was surprised at the price. Because being a business owner for a long time, you sort of get jaded because you do realize that so many lists out there are just pay to play, review sites and all this stuff. It's all just how much you pay, most of the time. There's very few just ethical that are just like, they're going to take the best product and they're going to put that at the top. Most of the time that list is jaded through either affiliate marketing or pay or, all those things that can happen out there in the market. So, so you start as a freelancer, and then you write this book, it takes off, and then you have Paper Raven Books, which, so tell us about that. How does that work for somebody? Who's your client? Like, tell us a little bit about like people that hire you.
Yeah. So Paper Raven Books is a self-publishing services company. So this is a company that I founded. Originally, I was Paper Raven editing, and then realized that we needed to, like we talked about, specialize on books. And I wanted to get into understanding the book publishing process. So I changed our name to Paper Raven Books, and my book was the first one that we published. And I reached out to a handful of clients who we'd helped write the manuscript and sent it off to a publisher. And the client said, well, I can't get a publisher to say yes. I can't get a publisher to accept this book. Can you help me self-publish it? And I was like, well, I'm going through the process myself. Let me document everything and figure it out. And then if you're okay being a guinea pig, let's go, So we did a handful at the beginning, and then year over year, we've just incrementally grown the team and the best practices that we follow. And so now, we help people write and edit and design and launch and market the books. And we do about 60 books a year now.
That's a lot of books to do. How
Yeah.
big is your team?
We're about 15.
Wow. That's a lot of volume to
Yeah, we have some freelancers who we go out to for specialty projects. So some other people get looped in for certain types of books and things like that. But
any books that we would know, like I would know, or that I've probably read, or is it more niche kind of?
I don't know if you remember the Cowboys player Raymond Shonky, who he's older, so it would have been like, Cowboys fans from back in the day, but he just released his memoir with the Bill Clinton forward. So that was pretty cool, or Bill Clinton endorsement. So that one was neat.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is great. He knew Bill Clinton, or how did that?
Yeah, he knew Bill Clinton. Yeah.
That's cool. That is a really cool. No, I don't know exactly who he is, but yeah, I mean, obviously a Bill Clinton on there, you're going to get
Right.
in a lot of places.
Yeah. And then a lot of folks, it's coaches, consultants, speakers, folks who have their own businesses, their own following, they're micro influencers. They have 50,000, couple 100,000 followers. And that's really all you need to get a really good momentum under the book. So, you need enough people that when you launch the book, you can get 50 reviews, 100 reviews, 200 reviews, something like that, to get that initial momentum under the book. And you don't have to be ridiculously famous, to get 50 reviews or 100 reviews, but that's enough to get the Amazon algorithm to start showing your book more widely to the cold traffic that's on Amazon, who don't know you yet.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably why it's daunting for people, because that's another reason they don't want to get out of the gate, and then they put it out there and nobody buys it. So you teaching them and talking about ways to expand their reach and use their resources and friends and family, there's probably a million different ways you can do it, because if you're going to put all that work in, you want at least a few people to read it, maybe more than a few. So tell me about so obviously that business is 60 books a year is taking off, and that's amazing to hear. What do you think the biggest advantage for an entrepreneur to having a book like this on the, if I had a book right here, what would be, what does it add for them as an entrepreneur?
It certainly helps with an introduction. It helps people to know kind of what your position is, what market you serve, and what your angle is in that market very quickly, because you got a title on the book and the subtitle on the book. It's a quick way to see social proof. The more reviews you have on the book, the more people say, oh yeah, this is, quote unquote, the real deal, right? And certainly I got invited to do more speaking gigs after I had a book. And sure, you still have to pitch for them. So I would submit applications or pitch to get speaking gigs, but you're just more likely to get accepted. People are going to take notice. You can mail books to folks, either because you want to speak to their audiences, or you just want to get your message in front of them, or as client thank you gifts, things like that. It adds a little bit of a just perceived gravitas to who you are, in addition to being a tangible marketing asset.
Sure. Yeah, not to segue too much, but I think obviously you're an entrepreneur and you sort of are thinking outside of the normal ways. And you'd told me that you and your family actually took off with your 4 kids and went traveling and you know, just kind of pull the kids out of school and just wanted to experience life. Tell me about that. And obviously being an entrepreneur allowed you to do that because you can work from anywhere and be anywhere. So tell me about that journey for yourself.
That was always part of why I wanted to be an entrepreneur that worked from a laptop, was because we had kids. We knew from the beginning that we wanted to have kids, and my husband has his own career that he's very happy with. And so I wanted to be the one who could, make anything possible. And so we had this crazy idea where he was going to have an opportunity for a break in his career. And well, he sort of made it happen. I don't want to make it sound like it was complete luck. He did decide to take a break from his career, and we had 3 kids at the time. They were ages 5, 3, and 18 months. And packed up my laptop. We packed up a few suitcases, and we went to Europe for 6 months. And I was able to continue running the business during that time, which was great. I mean, with PayPal and Stripe and webinars and client calls on Zoom, we really can continue running the business. And then, yes, I came back from that trip 20 weeks pregnant with baby number 4. So just keep rolling.
Well, it was success on many fronts, obviously.
We're very productive people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's amazing. Yeah. And I think that is the dream, right? I think that's the dream, to be able to have that flexibility, which, a lot of people that are entrepreneurs that I know, they don't have that kind of flexibility as much as like that becomes like what you want. So you must have set up a business and done it in a way where you empowered some people and had good people around you, and you kind of realize, it's more important to have that experience, to take that time with your kids and your husband. And I think that's the dream. That's really the dream for everyone, to do that. So I take my hat off to you in that. And while you were there, anything happen on the trip? Did you start another business? Did you drink a lot? What happened out there in the world for you?
It was surprising to us that it was not at all like a vacation. 6 months with 3 kids. It was an adventure. It was a trip, but we still had to do laundry, cook at the Airbnb, plan for nap times. So, like pretty much a day in Europe started to look a lot like a day at home. We'd, get up in the morning and make breakfast and start the laundry and get the stroller packed up. And then, we're on the metro to go to the Eiffel Tower, which is amazing. But, you're climbing up the Eiffel Tower and everyone's whining and hot and grumpy. And why are we here? And you're like, it's the Eiffel Tower.
They didn't get it. Yeah.
He finally got everyone down, and you say, okay, fine. How about ice cream? Will ice cream make everyone happy? And everyone says, yay, ice cream. And then you get them the ice cream, you take them home for nap time, and then they wake up and you're like, what did you think of the Eiffel Tower? What was your favorite part of today? And they say, the ice cream.
The ice cream. That was all they remember, is the ice cream. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get it. Every vacation feels like the same. You go to Hawaii, or you go, so what about the ocean? What about this? Isn't it beautiful here? And, they're like, the tacos are good, or, the poke, or but hopefully the experience resonates, right? Kids are kids in the moment. That's what they want. But hopefully them being adventurous with you will lead to, lifelong happiness and joy.
It's family bonding on a whole nother level, right? And you have a lot more shared experiences, shared memories, even the ones that don't work out, maybe especially the ones that don't work out. Like we had our son refuse to wear a rain jacket in Scotland, and it rained every single day in Scotland. And so now that's like the family joke about how Ewan would go out the door and we'd say, put your rain jacket on. And he would say, I don't need it. It's sunny. And then on the way back, it would rain every day.
Yeah. Well, he learned. He got wet and he learned, and that's part of life, But he sounds like a kid that's, once he sets his feet in something, he's not going a different way, which is cool too. Not to change up too much, but I wanted to ask about something that's happening a lot kind of in the news and this and that. A lot of people are talking about ChatGPT and the writer's strike we have, and how are people using it? But you actually use it and like it, and it's being effective. So tell me about how you decided to get in there and what makes it effective for you and your business?
Yeah, I really enjoy ChatGPT because it helps me to test things in the market. And I think the deeper and deeper we get into business, the more we realize that we have to be testing everything, the titles of things that are going out, the copy, the bullet points where we're describing things. And after a while, you kind of get stuck in your own mind. And there's a couple of practices that we did even before ChatGPT that help, which is we will survey our audience and we'll ask them about their pain points. We ask them about what they want to get that market language. Even still, sometimes you're opening up a blank page and like, oh, how do I write this next thing that I want to put out to the marketplace, this next product, this next book, this next webinar. I will go to ChatGPT. I'll get a couple of lines that I like, and I'll say, here's an example webinar hook. Provide 30 different variations on this hook, and I'll give it one to start with, and then it will spit out 30 other options. And I'm not just taking what ChatGPT is going to give me and running with it. I'm using it more for like, give me more ideas, brainstorm with me. And then I'll take a few of the ones I like and then test them on cold traffic with Facebook ads and that sort of thing to see what sticks.
Yeah. And it's like having 10 other writers in the room with you to bounce ideas on. Yeah, it's
exactly.
really amazing tool. And I obviously sympathize with writers and the idea of losing jobs, and it's a predicament that we're in because we want creative movies and we want creative content, and so that has to come from somewhere. So it's a difficult conversation, but I think a lot of people are embracing ChatGPT. I know we use it and do very similar things that you're doing too. We just want to know what's the best subject line, it's all these things that you want to just know what's coming out there. And especially with the news changing, you can just be on top of that pretty quickly. So it's really cool. Well,
just to bounce off of that, Colin, I do think the most successful writers are going to be the ones who learn how to use AI as a tool, right, to improve their writing. I mean, AI is just going to set the bar. Mediocrity is going to be the new expected level. And in order to be above mediocrity, you're going to have to use AI to become as creative as possible. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. Well, listen, I am excited. I got to get your book. I admit I was trying to get to it, but I didn't have time, but I'm going to get it. I'm going to get the real book. I'm going to put it on my nightstand. I'm going to read it. Start writing your own book today. I got to do it. Interesting book. Anyone that's looking to just kind of get that first step forward. I know you gave a little bit of the secret sauce at the beginning about, how to do it, but I'm sure there's a million other things in there that people need. And it sounds like to me, like just you being an ally to helping people kind of make that step. Paper Raven Books. Obviously you help people that really want to move forward, that need that step. So if anybody's looking to do that, contact Morgan. She can help you. Just do it all, get there, write the book, learn how to do lead magnet, which a lot of people aren't even aware how to do. There's so many things. So it's tried and true. You have the book from 2015, sales are going up, you're doing webinars. So there's a lot of interesting things that I think people can learn from you. So I appreciate you coming on today, and I'm excited to read it, and I'm sure it's just more and more. And is there another book coming out, or are you going to?
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing one on marketing, and I've got about 30,000 words on that book. Amazon keeps making some updates, so I'm waiting a little bit for some dust to settle. If you're thinking about Amazon and getting the book highly visible, you got to think about keywords and categories and reviews and some of those things. Can I give your audience a gift, Colin?
Yes,
is that okay?
absolutely.
So I just put together a 14 or 15 page checklist of everything that we need to do when we are writing and publishing and launching a book on Amazon, with kind of a visual roadmap. And if people want that checklist, you can go to paperravenbooks.com/ready. Totally free for you guys. And I just want to give you kind of a bird's eye view of what the book process might look like for you.
That's a nice free gift. I like that. I don't always like giving things for free, but I think this is a smart idea.
Thank
No,
you.
thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Also, shout out to our sponsor, Noble Gold Investments. US dollars lost 99% of its value since 1971. So if you're looking to protect some of your assets with physical gold and silver, check out Noble Gold Investments. And Morgan just McDonald, thank you so much. You're an adventurer, writer, entrepreneur, interesting person, and looking forward to hearing more about your travels and your journey, and just appreciate you coming on and telling your story.
Thank you so much, Colin.
Thanks so much.